So Black Panther, the movie, is taking over the world, and what do you know? We're going to be talking about it today a little bit. We're not going to give a review necessarily. You can go check out our spoiler review by Jake and Brian on the channel, but we are going to talk about how we feel about the film in regards to its place in the MCU. This is the Apocaflix movie show. I am your host, joining you again, Jacob Bartley, and joining me again is Keith Barnes. I guess we can call this Bartley and Barnes movie hour.
Oh,
I like that.
Oh, that's
like
great.
That.
Absolutely.
We got the bees and everything. How's it going, Keith?
Great. Happy to be back on, as always.
Yeah, man. Like I said, we will talk about Black Panther. So we're kind of figuring out the identity of this show, what we want it to be. We're gonna try new things out and adjust as we go. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna open it up weekly with just talking about the things that we're here to talk about, which is movies. I think the best thing about being a film fan is talking about your fellow film fans about the movies that you've been watching. So we're going to kind of have a little segment at the beginning of the show that's like, hey man, what have you been watching this week? And then we're going to have a little movie news segment where we're going to talk about big movie news stories or things that stand out to us that we want to talk about. And then we're going to go into our main topic of the show, which is, where does Black Panther stand in the MCU? Like, where do we put it? We're not going to rank the whole MCU right now, but we're just going to talk about around where Black Panther lands for each of us and talk about the movie for a little bit. So, Keith, let's talk, man. What have you been watching this past week?
I watched a movie. I watched a couple of things I hadn't seen in a while. First, just really quick, I showed my son the other night. Die Hard was on Cinemax.
It was his first time watching it?
He hadn't seen it. It was his first time watching it.
It's rated R, right?
Loved it. It is.
You let him watch it?
He's getting at an age where I can start showing him. He's 13, so he's getting...
Man, my parents would let me watch Reservoir Dogs and Goodfellas when I was like 6 years old.
Wow,
dude.
okay.
Like,
cool.
Not that they put it on in my room, but they didn't take me out of the living room when I was watching.
That's how my dad was.
And that's how I got to watch those movies when I was young.
When Die Hard came out, I was like 9, so I thought.
Well, that's awesome. Did he enjoy it?
He loved it.
Really?
I hadn't seen it. I don't think
that's
since
awesome.
I hadn't seen it in at least 20 years, so it was nice. It was cool to see. It was a good movie. But yeah, we were. So the big one, and I think you and I both. We're going to talk about this and watch it. Was the 10? I'm sorry.
Well, I don't blame you. The Cloverfield Paradox. Well, I mean, Paradox. I think the big one is Black Panther, but
Black Panther.
We will talk about that, but also Cloverfield Paradox, which dropped on Super Bowl.
We didn't get a chance to get to it, but
you had mentioned you were going to watch it. Yeah. I finally watched it yesterday morning.
Oh, okay.
So I spent my morning, but give me your thoughts, man.
Meh.
Okay.
It's not bad. I don't think it's bad. But there's so much of stuff that didn't make sense at all. I really like the first two Cloverfield movies.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you feel about the first two?
I love the first one.
And neither of these films rely on each other, honestly. I don't think they do.
Clearly not.
Yeah, not at all.
As we saw. But, which is kind of what I was expecting.
Yeah, me too, because the second,
Well, apparently, the second one was apparently based on, it was originally called The Cellar. And it was not a Cloverfield movie.
And they added that in.
Yeah,
it didn't have to be a Cloverfield movie.
No, not at all.
At all.
And so they added the alien thing at the end. I feel like they did this with the same thing with this one, because I remember on the Collider YouTube channel, Collider video channel, the show they had Nightmares.
Oh, okay.
I remember a couple of years ago them talking about the God Particle.
It was supposed to be God Particle was the name of the movie. Yeah.
And there was just kind of rumors that it was a Cloverfield movie at the time.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was ever confirmed. I think really until maybe about a year ago-ish. And this thing was supposed to come out in theaters several times over the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah. They pushed the release date back a lot.
So, whatever. But, look. It felt tacked on a lot. Like I said, there was a lot of weird stuff in it that didn't make sense. So, the way... The premise is interesting. But, like I said, just how... I don't know. What do you think?
I am on I feel the same way you do, honestly. I was underwhelmed with the film. I was looking forward to it because I like the first Cloverfield. As far as found footage movies, it's one of the best out
It was
there.
one of the first. It wasn't a big thing at the time.
Actually. But when you look at all of the found footage movies that happened over the years, especially when it was a craze, it's like that one and Chronicle are the two that come to mind that are actually really good movies. Yeah. And then I know a lot of people like the Blair Witch Project and stuff like that. But this movie, Cloverfield Paradox, I didn't necessarily have high expectations because I'm not familiar with the director or anything like that. But 10 Cloverfield Lane was an amazing film.
Very good.
John Goodman killed it. So I was expecting similar quality in this movie, and it just wasn't that. It was a cool premise, and it was a cool idea to have them I don't want to get into too much spoilers, but the idea, I mean, I think you can see this in the trailer, the idea how, like, the two parallel universes are, like, colliding with each other, and they're not, they're causing all these different effects and stuff like that. Like, that premise is really cool, but the way they handled it in the movie didn't work for me because you just have all these random things happening.
Exactly. Like, a bunch of stuff happened that they didn't explain.
Yeah, and not that I need everything explained in a movie for me, but it's like, I don't need everything explained, but for for this, I needed some explanation because it's like, okay, that random thing happened. That's creepy. That's scary, but it doesn't mean anything.
And they never address it again.
It doesn't mean anything.
Just a quick, right here, spoiler thing for 10. I'm sorry I keep saying 10. Cloverfield Paradox. Okay, the arm thing, like the dude. What's the guy? Chris.
Okay, I understand. Okay, the one in this universe doesn't have an arm. The one in this one does. But why does he lose the arm the way he loses the arm? Like it gets sucked into the wall and it's moving like that. That makes no sense at all. And
then the arm writes and tells them.
But I was thinking about that too. Like,
is it the arm from the other dimension?
But how would that arm know? Like if the arm is conscious, let's say the arm has the consciousness of the other Chris O'Dowd guy, right? How would that arm know? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
And then the one guy that was full of worms, which was weird.
Think in one,
worms just exploded
in one
out
of
of
the
him.
Universes, the worms were in the cage, and the other one they were in this certain spot. And then when everything
he wasn't
happened,
anywhere near the worm.
What's weird? Worms just went in his face. I don't know.
Because right before that, there was a weird scene where he was talking to himself in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought was happening, where I thought the other version of him was combined with him, and he was talking to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it seemed
like.
There
was some
happening.
cool. The premise. There was some cool imagery and stuff like that. Like, it really felt like a cliche horror movie in a sense where everybody gets picked off one by one, and it's like, okay, it felt like a cliche horror film. Like, it had the template of a cliche horror movie.
See, I thought that was actually interesting. I thought, what I thought was happening was because since they got transported to this alternate kind of mirror dimension, because apparently they were on the other side of the sun, opposite the Earth, and they were upside down.
Yeah.
So whatever. But what I thought was happening was that universe was trying to correct itself. Okay, because apparently the ship, the other station crashed. Like, what I think happened was they merged with the other ship and then it crashed, I guess.
Yeah.
Somehow, I don't know. And then the lady from Guardians of the Galaxy was in it. The tall.
Elizabeth Debicki. Yeah. It was overall disappointing, and the reason why it was disappointing is because this cast is amazing.
No, Daniel Bruhl.
I was looking like, I didn't even know Chris O'Dowd was in it. I like Chris O'Dowd. Yeah, he's great for a supporting character actor, So I was like, oh my goodness. You know who I love? Everything I see her in is Gugu and Batha Ra. She is amazing. She was in that Concussion movie with Will Smith. She played his wife.
Oh, she was, wasn't she?
She's on a Black Mirror episode, one of the best Black Mirror episodes. I forget the name of it right now, but it's one of the best Black Mirror episodes, and she's adorable. She's great again in this movie. Like, she's a rising star, honestly. You have David Oyelowo, Academy Award nominated actor. You have Daniel Bruhl, John Ortiz, Chris O'Dowd. Yeah. This cast is incredible. Like, you tell me that this cast is going to be in a film, and I'm like, wow, I have to see that movie. But it didn't feel like that movie.
It's Simon Pegg's voice. Yeah. He was one of the people on the. I think he was the
guy
at the station.
Oh, wow,
Simon Pegg.
Cool.
And I'm glad you brought up Black Mirror because I think seems like that's what they're doing with these movies, except they
honestly. I know what you. I
didn't
even
the fourth
think
one
about
coming
that.
out apparently.
Is there really?
I've heard there's a fourth one coming out in October that's set in World War II.
I thought this was the end. Honestly, I was hoping this was the end of the. I'm done with the Cloverfield thing after this movie. Like,
I'm interested in that though. See that premise because the guy said Donald Logue, who's also in it. Remember he was at the beginning, the scientist.
Yeah. So
explaining.
here's the thing, like
He somehow knows,
Right.
by the way, what's going to happen.
They have this idea. The idea of the whole Cloverfield universe is amazing, but they're not executing it like properly, in my opinion. Like even in 10 Cloverfield Lane, it's a great movie, but the Cloverfield stuff is the weakest part of the movie.
They're taking scripts that are separate from this and then shoehorning in Cloverfield stuff.
Yeah, I think we could do like a separate spoiler review on this, but I think it's safe to say overall we're really disappointed in the film.
Yeah, not great.
And then of course there's Black Panther. We both watched Black Panther. I think we could give a couple sentences on just how we feel about the movie right now, and then we'll talk about it in the MCU a little bit later. But it is technically part of this what we watch segment. But I mean, what can I say? I love the movie. I'm still struggling with like where I rank it in the MCU, where I rank certain characters in the MCU.
Yeah.
But I do. It's an amazing film. I can't say much more than that, honestly.
Love.
You,
I've been buzzing.
You said 100 out of 100.
Yeah, man. Listen,
On
I'll
Facebook.
bring it down to 99.
Yeah.
Just listen. The Marvel Studios, their last 3 movies that they've done, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Thor: Ragnarok, and this. I've loved all 3 of those. I've had a hard time finding anything wrong with any of those 3 movies. Like those are the 3 that I have been the least flawed.
Yeah, I agree.
Since
honestly,
Winter Soldier, for me.
I honestly agree with you. Like they never put out 3 movies in a row so consistently great. Honestly. Yeah. And those 3 movies rank like around the same place as me, and I don't know which ones I like better out of those 3. Like I have a tough time deciding. But yeah, we'll talk more about Black Panther a little bit later. But let's jump into it. Let's talk about some of these movie news stories that I picked out. Now, did you hear that they're making a Den of Thieves sequel?
I did.
Yeah. All right. So I was telling Keith, normally this isn't a topic I would choose as a big topic to talk about. I normally wouldn't even put it on here, but I was like wondering, because I've seen the film, Keith hasn't, but even not seeing the film, you can wonder, why the hell are they making a sequel to this movie? Both like financially and narrative-wise, if you've seen the movie. What did you think when you saw this?
Well, it made me think of a much better movie, but a similar question arose, which was Sicario, which was, it's one of my favorite movies I've seen in years, but hearing that they were going to make a sequel didn't quite make sense until, it's hard for me to say because I haven't seen Den of Thieves, but I don't know if there are any characters in it that you could maybe delve a little bit more into.
I mean, I guess there is technically, but it's
because Sicario had a definitive ending.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as that
and
story,
and you want to see more with
but
that
there's a couple of characters that you could
in the end.
You could, extend. So I don't know.
Well, and it's the same thing. Like, look, Sicario made money. Sicario had a $30 million budget. It made $84 million worldwide. Yeah. Tap on marketing. It made about $25 million profit. So like,
and it was critically acclaimed.
So that makes sense, but Den of Thieves isn't critically acclaimed.
No.
And I enjoyed the movie to a certain extent. It's fun. It's entertaining. I did like it. It has a 39% on Rotten Tomatoes, but like it's gonna be near the bottom of the list of movies this year. Yeah. It's nothing special.
I want to see it.
It's a good time. I went to Studio Movie Grill, had a beer, watched it. Like it's a good time just to go out to the movie theaters, but it's nothing special. Now, the budget isn't listed on Box Office Mojo, which I usually look at, but I found somewhere else that had a $30 million budget plus marketing.
All right.
And right now it's made I think 58 million worldwide. And so I think it barely cracked even, or barely made a little bit of money.
Barely, probably.
So I'm wondering what's the motive behind this. Maybe they have a great idea for the sequel.
It must be.
Narrative-wise, there technically is a way they can build a sequel, but I'm just wondering why. Like, it doesn't make sense. There's other movies that I've wondered, why didn't they make a sequel to this, and they're making a Den of Thieves sequel. It's just crazy to me. It's hard to talk about it without spoiling it.
10 years ago, it would make sense because Gerard Butler was becoming a star.
Hey, I'm happy for Gerard Butler.
50 Cent was a big
star. Here's what I will say. Gerard Butler's great in the movie. Yeah. And I think he deserves a franchise if that spoils anything going forward. But yeah, just weird to me, honestly. But something that I am really excited about, and I here's the thing. With DC, they announce movies. We're like, when we don't know if we're ever going to see it. When Marvel announces a slate, that's almost set in stone. The only hiccup they ever had was Inhumans, pretty much.
Yeah.
But when Fox, you never know with Fox. Like, they announce Gambit, they take it away. So they've announced that they have people working on a Kitty Pryde movie, which I think is really cool because I like the Kitty Pryde character. And they have the people who made Deadpool working on this. They have Brian Michael Bendis and Tim Miller working on this movie with the working titles 143, apparently referencing some old X-Men comics that there was two that they're referencing that both were number 43s.
Uncanny X-Men number 143.
Yeah. So I think this is cool. Like, there's not a ton of X-Men characters where a spin-off movie would work, but I think Kitty Pryde is one of them. And in the comics right now, she's one of the leaders of the X-Men. So I think that would be pretty cool. What do you think about this?
I do like Kitty Pryde. She's a cool character. I love Ellen. I hear people, is Ellen Page going to be... No.
You don't think so?
I love Ellen Page, but no, you can't.
I think they might. It depends. It really depends.
Listen, if this thing's going to get rebooted, you can't have Ellen Page. And she's in her 30s now. I mean, she still looks young enough. And Kitty Pryde can be, she can be in her 20s. But I would just recast if I was going to do that. But this, the only thing that's given me, look, I like Tim Miller. That's the only thing that got me really interested in this. Because, again, I like the Kitty Pryde character, but what is this going to be? A lot of people are assuming it's going to be based on this particular issue. I haven't read it. I don't know what it's about, but I didn't get a chance to look that up. But if they could come up with a great story, Tim Miller's great with visuals, as we've seen. I did not know he did the visual effects for Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, wow.
Which is cool. His company,
those are great visual effects.
And apparently he was second unit director on Thor: The Dark World. So he's got a good head for stuff. Deadpool was awesome. I'm still, his absence for Deadpool 2, I'm still kind of...
Worries you a little bit?
A little bit.
Me too.
But... Because we're gonna find out who was the real magic behind that movie, but him versus Ryan Reynolds. But this, look, it's a comic book movie. I'll see it. But we're getting this thing with Fox where they're coming up with, and Sony's doing it too. We're getting these weird characters that, what are you gonna make a story out of? Like with the Silver Sable
it's
and
kind of like
movie,
they're forcing them, like Sony,
the Venom movie. Now we're getting the Kitty Pryde movie.
And Fox. I'm really curious because
I don't know.
Is this the Fox regime right now pushing this forward, and we know the Disney Fox deal hasn't gone through yet. There's a chance it might not go through. So why are they even I guess you can't just pause business, but I'm wondering why they're working on such big projects coming up when they don't know the state of business.
Exactly.
And is Marvel and Disney going to move forward with these projects that they have in development once and if they fully acquire Fox? But putting all the business stuff aside, I like the Kitty Pryde character a lot. There's this animated show X-Men run. I think it's called Astonishing X-Men or something like that. And Josh Whedon actually made it. I don't know if he was the showrunner or something like that, but he was one of the heads on that show. And I watched it's just one season. The animation's really cool. The X-Men actually go out to space in this. They go to another planet and they do all this stuff. And and I'm not saying they're going to do this in the movie, but this is just an example of how cool the Kitty Pryde character is. There's a missile headed towards Earth. And she gets on the missile and phases the whole... It's a huge missile. It's it's gigantic. It's the size of a skyscraper. It's huge. I think it's bigger than that, honestly. It's huge. She gets inside of the missile.
Who fired this thing?
And if you know how Kitty Pryde's powers work, she can phase things. She can phase through walls. She can touch other objects and have them phase through things. She gets in the missile, phases the whole entire thing through Earth. So the missile's going through Earth, and you see it, and people see it. And it's going through buildings and going through the ground, and the whole thing goes through Earth, and she has to keep phasing it, and she just goes off into space. and that's the last episode of the show, and it just ends like that. And she just keeps phasing it so it doesn't destroy any planets or anything like that.
I was just about to ask, did she survive this?
We don't know. It just ended, and they didn't make a season 2, which is it's pretty cool. Like that's kind of like a cliffhanger in a way, and it's like you never get to find out what happened. But I always think about that when I think about the Kitty Pryde character, and she seems like a small level hero, but if she could do something like that, that's incredibly powerful.
Well, she can send people back in time.
Well, yeah, we've seen that.
In their minds, I guess. Or
if they're going to keep the continuation right now, let's say the Disney Fox deal goes through, and somehow, whether it's a separate universe or in the MCU, Marvel figures out a way to keep Michael Fassbender as Magneto and all these characters as the same actors, then I want Ellen Page back as Kitty Pryde. But if it's a full reboot, then I'm totally fine with them casting somebody young. Yeah. And then that way, that actress can play Kitty Pryde for the next 15, 20 years. And then you can have her interact with Deadpool, because you know damn well they're not getting rid of Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. So we'll see how that ends up working out. But you can have them interact, so I think that would be pretty cool. Last up for movie news, we have something Star Wars related. And that is, and we might have different views on this, but the Game of Thrones creators / writers of the show Game of Thrones are going to be working on some new Star Wars films. They're going to be writing some new Star Wars films. And their names are David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. They are, I think, they kind of brought the Game of Thrones show to fruition and have been running it. And of course, the biggest TV show in the world, the most popular TV show in the world right now, one of the best TV shows of all time in my opinion. And I think this is a great fit, especially if they go like Knights of the Old Republic. I'm sure everybody's been saying that because it's similar to it's the closest thing Star Wars has to like a sword and sandal type era of Star Wars. And I know we're going to have different views on this because I watch Game of Thrones, you don't. So how does this news strike you, not being a Game of Thrones fan?
Never watched 1 second of this show. I have no idea what's going on. But I was at the dentist one day, and I read, I don't remember the magazine, maybe it was Vanity Fair, but I actually read a whole story about them.
Oh, okay.
And their relationship with J.R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
And their love of the show. Author. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. So I know a little bit about them, and boy, these guys, they were very enthusiastic guys, certainly about Game of Thrones. And I mean, if they carry any of that over into Star Wars, which it sounds like they will, they seem very, who wouldn't be, enthusiastic about this. And it's a new series of films, which I hope comes sooner than later. See, anytime this stuff comes out, I mean, it could be years before
it definitely could be.
So I don't know. I'm excited about it. It sounds good, but I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see what it is. It certainly seems like, just given their history, we're all assuming that Old Republic would be
that would make sense.
Era.
But I'm wondering if that's too cliche. Like, oh, the Game of Thrones guys would do Old Republic.
Because Game of Thrones is set in
ancient if
they did
that, but I would love to see them work on anything Star Wars, honestly.
Yeah. At any time it could take place, and separate from Rian Johnson's trilogy too. I mean, I wonder, maybe these will be the kind of the spin-offs. We'll get the Rian Johnson trilogy, and then one of their movies. Lucasfilm
is planning for Star Wars without the saga films going on. Because I'm not saying they're going to stop the saga films. I think the saga films will go on forever. But I'm saying they're going to take breaks.
Yeah.
I think after them announcing the Rian Johnson movies and these movies, and then of course you have the potential Obi-Wan film, and who knows, if Solo kills it, they could make a trilogy of Solo films. So they could keep making all these other movies, and then you can put a pause. I wouldn't mind a 5 to 8 year hiatus on saga films, even though I'm gonna miss Rey and Kylo. That'll make me appreciate them more when they come back. I would love so that for episode 9 to take place like a few years after episode 8, and then we get 10 years in between. 10 years later, Rey has rebuilt the Jedi Order or something, and then we go from there. I think that would be something great, rather than 2 years after episode 9, episode 10 comes out. Like I think we need a breather, honestly. And I think films like these that these Game of Thrones writers are working on, films like the Rian Johnson ones are going to take place. I need my Obi-Wan movie. Come on.
I know.
And I don't think they would work. I feel like they hired these guys for a larger scope type of film like in Old Republic, I don't think they hire them to work on an Obi-Wan film where you're focusing so much on one character.
Right.
Because if you watch Game of Thrones, there are like 20 major characters that you're following. And then on top of that, there's 40 side characters. And then they're following like 100 characters all at once. And it's crazy. So I think they are going to work on something large scope for sure.
Hopefully, it's a much nicer world than whatever Game of Thrones is.
Yes.
One of the things that turns me off about, again, I haven't watched
the violence,
but that's what's the violence. It just seems like everyone's just terrible.
Yeah.
And the good people that are there get killed.
I see what you're saying, and at first the show does, and I love the first few seasons of Game of Thrones, but like the gore is like heavily thrown on. But I think that's what attracted, because in the first like 4 seasons there's a lot of gore and a lot of nudity.
Yeah.
So that's how they reeled everyone in.
Incest.
And now these last seasons have been less gore, less nudity, and more focusing on the story, and it's great. And they narrowed it down to like really caring about the characters that are still around. So I think this is amazing news.
It sounds good. Well, from what I don't want to turn this into Game of Thrones talk, but from what I've heard, this last season or 2 maybe that they've gotten kind of ahead of or away from the books.
Oh, they surpassed the books.
Yeah. And from what I hear, these are the best. This is the best that the show's been.
But they still have to follow his guidelines.
Yeah,
He has his vision
he's still writing
how the books are going to end.
Yeah.
So, and they talk with him about how it's going to end. Yeah. But still, that's really cool because maybe being handcuffed to like reading the books and then trying to turn those pages into scripts and then into visuals is more difficult than, okay, we have this outline of a story. Yeah. Let's turn it into scripts. Let's make it into the show. So I think that has lent well to the show, and it really is better than it's ever been. Last season was my favorite season.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Because they narrowed it down and focused on the important things. So, anyways, that just goes to show how much care these guys are going to put into a Star Wars film.
Absolutely.
As far as producers and writers, I couldn't be more happier for these. Having these guys attached, honestly.
Yeah. They seem like hardworking, like I said, enthusiastic guys. So that you'll see it carry over into Star Wars.
Definitely. All right, so let's talk about what we came here to talk about. We came to talk about Black Panther. That's why we didn't talk about it too much in our opening segment. And like I said, we're not going to give you our 1 through 19 rank of the MCU right now. We're actually developing some ranking videos that the whole crew's going to get on. We're going to rank all those films. So we just want to talk about basically talk about Black Panther and where it kind of stands in the MCU for us. Like, is it near the bottom? Is it near the middle? Is it near the top? And you never know. Some people have different opinions. I've seen online, and I've heard a lot of people that are disappointed with the film. And at first I'm like, you're crazy, but then
they're wrong.
Well, I step back and think about it, and I'm like, okay, they have their opinions. When I didn't like Mad Max, Mad Max Fury Road, everyone was telling me I'm crazy. And I'm like,
I don't like that movie.
It's a good movie, but I don't understand the appeal. Like, why Best Picture nomination?
I agree with you 100% on that.
So I'm glad you agree with me, Keith. And so I look at that and I have to understand. Okay, even if I and everybody, most people love this movie, there's gonna be people out there that don't like it. Luckily, Keith and I enjoy it a lot. So, Keith, let me hear it, man. Just talk about Black Panther a little bit more. And where does it stand around in the MCU for you? Like, how does it compare to the other MCU films for you?
Black Panther. What a fun time. What a bunch of just fun characters. The word everyone's using, depth. So much of it in this movie.
Very much so.
So much more than we've gotten. I'm gonna stop. I'll get to the movie itself in a second. I'm gonna start with Michael B. Jordan really quick. All right, and so best villain since Loki, everybody seems to, which is true. I don't know if I would rank him yet quite ahead of him.
Thank you.
Just because
everyone's jumping the gun and best Marvel villain ever, and I'm like,
he's as good as Loki.
Calm down, like, and it's unfortunate because he's not going to be able to surpass Loki. But we never know.
Yeah, and who knows what'll happen with the world, and maybe we'll. I guess spoiler, a little bit of spoiler.
So we'll just give it right now. Yeah. We're not going to go into depth right now on Black Panther, but we might mention a spoiler here and there. So if you haven't seen Black Panther, you might not want to listen to the rest of this show. Yeah. Come back later and watch.
So okay. With that said, so if he can come back somehow, which I think there may be a way, which we'll get to.
with Wakanda and the mythology and all that stuff.
No, that was just what'll happen with the world and the universe after Infinity War
that's
is
absolutely
over.
true. Yeah.
Who knows? But as far as he goes, we've had four movies with Loki.
4. Yeah.
So he's a little more
3 Thor movies and Avengers.
And then Avengers, yeah. So we've had more time with Loki. That's basically really
which is good and bad, because you can argue that the character's gotten stronger, but also maybe flawed more. Like as far as the creation of the character, like
sure.
Maybe he's gotten weaker since we first introduced to him.
Yeah.
There's good and bad.
It depends on how his story ends. We'll
That's
say
true.
that,
yeah,
because we don't know where he's going to go still. But I will say, I think he's as good as Loki. I would throw also in there the Michael Keaton character.
Yeah, he's up there.
What was his Vulture? What was his real name? I forgot his real name. Whatever.
Adrian Toomes.
Toomes, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
Toomes,
yeah. So
he's up there. He's not on their level. But
not quite.
He's top 5 MCU villains.
Absolutely.
I would say,
yeah, definitely. So, but Michael B. Jordan's thing. So when we were in the movie, I leaned over to Gio because we all saw it together, and Gio leaned to me and said, "This movie's incredible." I said, "It is," and then he had a certain point where he was explaining, like when he arrived in Wakanda and was explaining what he wanted or why he was doing what he was doing. I leaned over to Gio and said, I kind of agree with him, which I kind of not so much what he was doing.
Villain.
Yeah, but I leaned over. I was like,
not the way he's going about doing it, but
his actual methods,
his motivation, why he's doing what he's doing.
And I'm like, yeah.
And he has a right to be angry.
Absolutely, because he just yells out, "Where was Wakanda?"
Yeah.
Like it's just kids, black kids all over the world growing up in poverty and crime-ridden areas and low income and this, that, and whatever. Wakanda's sitting pretty on top of the richest and most technologically advanced country in the world. Where were you guys? And I'm just like, yeah, you're right. Well, the thing I love is that T'Challa acknowledged that and said yes. And went to his father.
He's doing something about it too. Yeah.
Said we were wrong. You were wrong for this. I have to make this right. So just that alone, just propels the movie up to another level for me. But all those characters, man, the little sister, the Letitia Wright. I forgot her name.
I love her.
Shuri.
When I was watching the movie,
great, man.
I was saying to myself, I freaking love this character.
Yes.
I didn't expect everybody else to love her as much as I
know.
did.
Yeah, same here.
I was really caught off guard, and everybody had the same reaction I did to her.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Is it too much to say? She's my favorite princess since Princess Leia.
Listen, absolutely.
Dude, she's a princess. That's really cool. I love when princess characters are
right.
badasses and important characters.
Yeah. And like
because everybody thinks of a princess like, oh, she's so delicate, princess. No, she's a badass.
I love how just the scene everyone's talking about it when he walks into the lab.
That's hilarious.
Ooh, what are these? He's like, no. What are those?
Yeah, that is hilarious. And honestly,
great,
I didn't think about the YouTube video that's based off of. Did you hear about that?
Some meme from.
Yeah, it's like some guy going up to some cop and he has some like brick like shoes.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are those?
Yeah.
So it was like
I didn't know that either.
It was a cultural reference,
yeah,
to a YouTube video.
Yeah. So that was very good. And then the other standout a lot of people were talking about is the Man-Ape character. I forgot his name.
He's great.
Winston Duke is the actor.
Yeah.
He was great, and I remember. I think I may have leaned to you and said I saw him in the Infinity War trailer.
I went back and watched the Infinity War trailer.
Yeah.
When Black Panther's standing there and brings his claws out and has the whole Wakandan army behind him, he's in the background.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
That's great. Yeah. Well, and I love because in the comics, they do become friends.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they actually have a contentious relationship at first, and then they become pretty good friends. So a lot of I watched. I don't know. Did you ever see the Ultimate Avengers animated film?
I did.
There's two of them.
Yes.
Part 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that. Both
one
of
them
those
opens up in Wakanda.
Yes.
I think.
Oh, they're both
the
set
first one?
in Wakanda.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Mostly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is the Chitauri invasion.
M'Baku.
Yes, that's it. M'Baku. Yeah, very good. Yes. Yeah. So one of them is the Chitauri invasion, where they actually invaded Wakanda because they were coming to get the vibranium. Another quick thing, spoiler thing. Interesting setup right in the very beginning. So I guess vibranium was a meteor from space.
Yeah, that makes sense though, because why would it just appear on Earth out of nowhere?
See, maybe I'm wrong. I had always thought I'd heard that vibranium was a natural metal on Earth.
Maybe in the comics it is.
Adamantium was from space. I'm talking about in the comics.
Yeah. So, but they can change whatever they want.
So I know
Speaking of this, before I
adamantium.
forget, did you know? And it's obvious now. I can't believe I didn't realize it. The opening scene where the father's telling his son the story of Wakanda.
I know
it's Michael B.
Yes.
Jordan is the son, and
Yes.
his father's.
When I was watching it, I thought that. I wondered that.
Because the kid has an American accent.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So it's his father telling him. He says, "Tell me a story about home."
Yeah.
And that makes the movie so much more better because this villain, that makes the villain character so much better.
Makes it sadder.
It's so, honestly, it makes me want to cry a little bit when I think about that because I'm like, wow, this guy, he's so angry and so scary and so intimidating, but he has a reason to be what he was.
Just abandoned. And and Sterling K. Brown, by the way,
he's good too.
The scene where he goes into that astral plane.
Yeah,
whatever.
and sees his dad.
And he's telling him, he says to his son, "I should have taken you home." Yeah, gosh, it's getting to me right now thinking about it. But one thing I will say, I keep hearing, I thought about this. I had a buddy of mine say this, and then I've heard it on other shows and online since then. Do we think that the Soul Stone is Wakanda resting on top of the Soul Stone?
At first, I thought no. But I was thinking about it.
Because I was wondering, how is this working?
Why do they have to protect Wakanda so much in Infinity War?
Right.
Because in the trailers, T'Challa says, evacuate the city.
Yeah.
For some reason, they're attacking Wakanda.
Yeah. It can't just be about vibranium.
Or his minions, his army, are attacking. Maybe...
They're invading Wakanda.
Maybe they want the vibranium. That's possible, but that doesn't... I mean, possible. But
because they're able to, go into, this spiritual kind of realm and speak to people that have passed away.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
you know
makes
what I mean?
sense. Maybe that's where the herbs
that
come
ability's
from.
got exactly.
Okay.
That's what I think it is. I think they think it's vibranium.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense why the battle's in Wakanda and why Cap, Hulk, why are all those characters joining the fight in Wakanda?
Yeah.
And then the other ones are going to be somewhere else.
And whatever, New York.
Which is cool because we're going to have multiple battles.
Yeah.
Going on, but the only reason I don't like that is because why are all the Infinity Stones on Earth?
On Earth, I know that bothers me too. I know
That doesn't make sense.
4 of them.
How big the galaxy is, and there's alternate. I mean, there's the galaxy is so huge.
I know.
There's 3 on Earth if the Soul Gem is on Earth.
If it's there,
there would be 3, right? Or 4.
So you got the Visions one, the Vision one. What is that? The Mind Stone Gem.
Okay, to be fair. That one didn't originate on Earth. It wasn't originally on Earth.
No, but
but it's on Earth now.
He gave it to Loki to take to Earth.
So Loki, so
which is the Tesseract was on Earth.
That's kind of half and half. Tesseract counts as it was on Earth.
The Doctor Strange, the Eye of Agamotto.
Okay, that one was on Earth.
Another one.
Oh, so technically
at least 3, and now the Soul. So 4.
It would be 4 on Earth
that
now,
on Earth.
but then it would be, I'd say 3 who were on Earth before this whole thing went down,
right.
before the MCU started.
Yeah,
there was 3 that were on Earth.
Weird.
If the Soul Gem's on Earth,
that's odd.
I wouldn't like that, but it would make sense why the battle's going to be in Wakanda, and I would love to see more Wakandan technology.
Me too.
And more Wakandan warriors fighting in Infinity War, which is, I mean, it's in the trailer, but watching that trailer is so much better after Black Panther.
Absolutely, I did the same thing. That's the first thing I did when I got home was watch that trailer, and seeing what's the lead Dora Milaje? What's her name again? Is she on The Walking Dead? I think.
Oh yeah, I forget her.
I'm glad to see her there. She was incredible in this movie. Shoot. Yeah, I can't remember her name, but I think she's on. Is she not on Walking Dead? I think
she is. Yeah, she's Michonne on Walking Dead.
Yeah. She was awesome. I loved her arc in this, and her loyalty to the throne.
I think it's Okoye. Okoye is her name.
Yes, I think that might be right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's great. She's amazing, dude. She's a straight badass. She's in Infinity War running
Right,
with
she's
the
one
Avengers.
of the
She out of all the side characters in Wakanda, she's the one who can handle herself.
Right, that's just what I was about to say. You know she can.
And I'm glad that Lupita Nyong'o and his sister aren't going to be in Infinity War because they're not fit to be in that battle.
So they're definitely not?
Well, I'm not saying they're not in the movie, but they're not running in that battle.
I don't think no.
They're going to be hidden and protected because even Lupita Nyong'o's character in the movie acknowledges that she's not a warrior.
Yeah,
she's a spy. Exactly. And that's why when the mom tells her to eat the herb and fight Killmonger, she's like, no, I can't. I would get killed.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, for me, Black Panther is definitely in the upper Marvel films. And here's a big question people have asked me, because look, I don't put it above Civil War for me. I don't necessarily put it above, and to me, Civil War's, I think, is the best MCU film. That's in my opinion. I had Avengers at the top for a while, but that's neither here nor there. But I don't put it above a few of the team up films. But a big question to me is, and even like I don't necessarily put it above Winter Soldier, but then people are asking me, okay, is it the best MCU origin film? And if you could count Iron Man, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, I'm having a tough time with it, but I don't necessarily put it above Iron Man either. Here's the thing. The villain character in Black Panther is the best since Loki and is on par with Loki. And that's saying, because when you talk about comic book villains, you're like, okay, the Heath Ledger's Joker, Loki, and like those are the top two. Yeah. So if we're saying Killmonger's up there with those two,
he is.
I think he is too. And we only got Heath Ledger in one film, and
sure.
And I don't think anyone's gonna top Heath Ledger's performance, but this is up there. This is on the same level.
I would agree with that.
It's on the same level. So that's great and all, and that's what elevates the movie to such a high level, and it kills any other MCU villain other than Loki. Like Obadiah Stane in Iron Man, I don't like his character necessarily.
Oh, I like him. Okay.
I don't think he's a terrible villain, but he just doesn't stand out to me.
Okay.
So for me, it's like if you want to compare those two elements of the films, okay, Black Panther beats it there. But for me, Tony Stark being my favorite character in the MCU, I love the hero's journey in Iron Man more than I do in Black Panther. But it doesn't. I'm not saying that it shits on it like Tony Stark's is way better. It's on par. They're on par. But I personally enjoy Iron Man more. But it's right up there, man. Black Panther is, without a doubt, in the top 10, no question. But and of course we need to let it stand the test of time.
Yes.
Obviously, we need to watch it multiple times, like we have all the other MCU films. But for me, it's hovering around, the bottom of my top 10 MCU films. But who knows? I watch it 2 more times, and I'm like, no, this movie's better than this movie and this movie, and then maybe it's in my top 5. I just need to give it time. I don't want to react too heavily to it right away. Like I tried not to with Spider-Man Homecoming because Spider-Man's my favorite comic book character, like not just MCU, just overall. Mm-hmm. And I tried to temper myself. Like I knew I loved it, but I was like, don't say it's your favorite MCU movie yet. Like give it time. And it's like, okay, it's great, but it's not the best MCU film, you know? So for me, I think Black Panther, I wouldn't argue against somebody who told me this is my favorite MCU film. I think it's the best MCU film. I wouldn't argue against somebody who told me that at all. I wouldn't be shocked at all either. But for me personally, it hovers around that 6, 7, 8 mark. And I'm still thinking about it, but that's where it is for me.
You are wrong. No,
my opinion's wrong.
No. I get that because you're right about especially the time part of it. I mean, we have 10 years of
It's easy to be like
watching Iron Man and Avengers.
Excited about the new hotness, and that's how I was about Thor Ragnarok. I was like, oh my goodness, is Thor Ragnarok the best?
The same thing. I did the same thing.
I thought about that for a second, and I'm like, no, but it's damn good.
It's close. For me, I do want to wait. Just like I said, because Gio and I both walked out going, that might be my favorite MCU movie. It still might be. For me, it was Winter Soldier.
A lot of people have Winter Soldier up there, and that's the debate. Because I think consensus-wise, I mean, Avengers or Winter Soldier is the best MCU film if you look at everybody's thoughts and everybody's opinion.
That's exactly.
So now this movie's consensus-wise is challenging that throne is great. I love that.
And same thing. I have to see it. Keep seeing it. I'm going to keep seeing it. I'm going to see it as much as I can. I know it's gonna be one of those movies I watch a million times. The other night I watched Logan again. It's on HBO.
Yeah.
Like I have the movie.
Yeah, I know.
But it's on HBO, and I'm like,
the same thing happens to me. I have Avengers, but every time it's on TV, I can't. I gotta sit down and watch it. I even watch the commercials and everything. I just sit there and let it play. It's crazy.
Logan is so great.
Yeah, that's the thing for me.
It's been a year for that movie. I think that's enough. I don't need to see it anymore.
No, me neither. No.
I think I will have it at my number one for me. Dark Knight, same thing. I won't argue with anyone that wants to say Dark Knight.
No, I think
Logan.
I've decided on that too. That Logan's the best comic book movie ever made, and
it's Logan.
A lot of people I've talked to general movie-going audience members, and they're like, "Oh, they love Black Panther, right?" They're like, "Oh, it's so great," and they're like, "What do you give it?" Like, because people always ask 1 out of 10, and I've strayed away from giving 1 out of 10s anymore.
Yeah,
because it doesn't.
I
you can't really gauge those. But when people ask me, I'm like, all right, I give it a solid 8, and they're like, oh, how could you do that? Like, you gave Civil War a 9, like you gave Logan a 9, and I'm like, well, personally, and no offense, but I think Logan shits on Black Panther as a movie. No offense, but I think Black Panther's a great. But for me, it doesn't touch Logan Dark Knight level.
For me it kind of does.
Okay.
I have the same feelings coming out of it, like coming out of those.
That makes sense to me because when I saw Logan, I was like, I had this feeling, and I was like, I haven't felt this way since The Force Awakens, because The Force Awakens was so special to me, and I had this feeling in my body, and I couldn't explain it.
Right.
And I haven't felt that way about a movie until Logan. And then, so that's how I know how those movies are very special. Yeah. I love Black Panther. I think is an amazing. Michael B. Jordan is fucking incredible. He is great. But I'm just, as of right now, how I feel, I just don't think it's a top 3 MCU film or a top 5 comic book movie of all time. But that could change with time, honestly. I can watch it and be like, well, I didn't notice that. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And for me,
could happen.
There's flaws that hold it back for me. And this does affect a movie for me because special effects, honestly. I don't think the special effects were great. And the action was a little bit disappointing to me. I thought the action would be better. Because I thought we were going to get this epic, great battle between Killmonger and T'Challa in the suits. And it was okay. Like, did you like the
visual effects, unless it's just really bad, like Justice League bad, then
it doesn't affect your quality.
It doesn't. I can let it go.
I'm not saying
even Justice League. It didn't bother me that much. It just that it was so bad. It was that noticeable.
It just takes it down a little notch for me.
But
like there's
me, the story was so good. Again, if the movie's good enough, you can give it a. You know what I mean? Like I can.
To give an example, I like Wonder Woman and Spider-Man: Homecoming. I pretty much love the films equally. Right? They're both great, but Wonder Woman. There's some special effects that are really iffy for me, and that's what puts Spider-Man: Homecoming over Wonder Woman. So just to give you a comparison, you know,
I can understand that. I can imagine that actually now that you're saying it. But yeah, for me, the story and the characters were so compelling and
it's almost
so
like
rich.
The action and the special effects are irrelevant because the rest of the movie is so amazing.
I was so into it. So I was just like I said, I was just into the story. I didn't realize how. I don't want to say little action, but it's not as action-packed as a Winter Soldier, for example, or Civil War.
And it doesn't need to be, honestly.
No.
But I'm saying when there was action... Look, the scenes... Where were they? In Tokyo? Or Japan? Where were they?
Korea.
Sorry to mix up my...
Southeast Asian...
places. But... See, that stuff was great. When the car chase and everything,
the club scene,
that was the highlight of the action in the movie, was the car chase and everything that had to do with that. And not just with Black Panther, with Okoye or whatever. Yeah. When she throws the spear, that stuff was amazing.
Dude, that was a great scene.
So, but I'm just saying the climactic battles, and even the battle when Black Panther's fighting the Warriors and stuff, that was cool. But just the battle between Killmonger and Black Panther wasn't that great.
A little underwhelming.
I
can understand that.
The special effects, especially when he tackles him and they're falling down the thing, it looked animated to me. And
it did.
That's that doesn't like change the quality of the film for me overall, but it's a little nitpick. Honestly.
Third acts, especially
they're tough.
Big action heavy, movies like this. They are hard to do.
Because I feel that way. Well, narrative wise, the third act was incredible, but just maybe the action.
Yeah,
I think was a little
it's hard to bring it to an end. Listen, I feel that way. See, that's how I feel about Wonder Woman. I love Wonder Woman. I absolutely love that movie. I think I gave it on my 100-point scale. I think I gave it 97.
Jeez.
But that third act is not quite. The battle was like the same thing, underwhelming for me, because it's just her getting thrown around or throwing the guy around. The monster. What was his name again? Not Steppenwolf. Whatever. Ares.
Oh yeah, Ares.
And he's just up lecturing her. Diana, I'm right.
Yeah, it was.
This is.
It was disappointing.
10 minutes of that. I kind of felt that.
Action-wise, it was disappointing.
Yeah, and so that's how I felt about Wonder Woman. The same thing that you're saying. So I can kind of see that. For me, if negative wise, as far as any kind of negative thing, like I said, these last 3 movies that have come out in the MCU, Spider-Man, Thor, and this one. Yeah, I'm really trying to think of, like, I did this with Thor Ragnarok. Like, I'm really trying to think of something that I really
Spider-Man.
With it. I can't.
I had a hard time finding flaws in Homecoming. At first, I didn't like the best friend character, but after multiple viewings, the first viewing I didn't like him. I thought it was annoying. But after multiple things, I started to really like the character. Great, right? So that flaw went away.
Okay.
In Ragnarok,
I'm
the one thing that holds Ragnarok back for me is they depowered Loki. Loki could have when the hammer's flying back.
Sure.
Loki could have got out of that. Are you kidding me? And Loki could have left that planet. He could have got out of it. There's no way the Jeff Goldblum's character could have held him there against his will. There's no way. I at least in my opinion.
Maybe.
I think they depowered Loki in this movie.
See, I thought we're going to talk about Thor Ragnarok really quick. Because I didn't get to.
We're comparing films, so that's fine.
I thought that I'm thinking because he's some ancient being, whatever
maybe
he may be more powerful than we think.
Maybe he
the Jeff Goldblum
turned off
Grandmaster,
Loki's powers somehow, but they didn't say that.
Maybe.
Or like dampened them or something, or maybe like his walls have like a power dampening thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, against like mystical things like
that.
that.
I would like to see Loki like unleashed at some point.
I know we've never really seen Loki go ham action wise, and I think
he's really more powerful than
That's what I'm saying. So. For me, the one major flaw with Thor Ragnarok was that, and it really bothered me. I was wondering. I was like,
I can.
As a filmmaker, and Taika Waititi did a freaking amazing job with that film. Like, but everybody has flaws, and I just think as a filmmaker, how could you, knowing how powerful Loki is, especially with the evidence in the MCU itself, allow him to be depowered like that? So I'm saying all these films have their flaws. Spider-Man, I still don't have a major flaw with it, but Black Panther, narrative-wise, I don't have a major flaw. It's just honestly the action and the special effects, which when you break it down aren't major negatives.
Yeah,
So
Ryan Coogler, 3 for 3 for the whole turn.
He's an inspiration. He's one of my favorite directors. Like
he can do anything.
He really is. So you're telling me Black Panther is arguably your favorite MCU film? So it's hovering in the top 3 range.
Top 4 or 5.
Okay.
Ish. Yeah. Without actually ranking them out, I will just say
like what's in the top 5, not in order.
Yeah. No, in no order. Winter Soldier, Avengers, Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
And probably this.
Yeah. So we're going to sit down and give our official rankings soon. We're going to do like a consensus list with the whole Apocaflix Movies crew, and we'll see where Black Panther ends up. I have a feeling it's going to be really high. I have a feeling it's going to be really high. And because I know the other guys enjoy the movie, but I don't know where they rank it, know? So it's going to be interesting to see where it ends up on our list.
Yeah.
Let's make some predictions for that, because I'm excited to see where these movies ends up. I think... Because I know you guys all love Winter Soldier. I think Winter Soldier is going to end up being number 1 on our consensus list.
I feel like it will.
I love Winter Soldier. I think it's in my top 5 for sure. But because my score is going to be high as well, so I think Winter Soldier might be number 1. I think maybe Avengers will be number 2, arguably. I think those will
be 1 and 2.
I think those will be 1 and 2. I'm fine for Civil War, man. I give Civil War some love. I feel like, you know,
I don't love Civil War
I
as much
feel
as...
like people, and I've just been noticing that, like, recently in the past week or two, when Civil War came out, everybody loved it. It felt like everybody loved it, and now I get the feeling that not everybody doesn't love it as much as I thought they did.
I was a little. I love Civil War. I think it's great, but I was a little underwhelmed by it. I came away from it just loving the Black Panther and Spider-Man like everybody else.
I think
it
has a bigger flaw than a lot of the recent movies, and that's probably with the Zemo character.
Yeah, I just can't. And that's a big problem for me, the way they.
That's a bigger flaw than any flaw in Black Panther, than any flaw in Ragnarok, than any flaw in Homecoming.
I think he's great, and I think his motivation for wanting to attack these characters is great, but just the execution of it, it relies too much on coincidence and luck.
No, definitely.
It doesn't work for me. It was Batman. People compare it to Batman v Superman.
I think Daniel Brühl is an amazing actor.
He's great,
though.
yeah.
But for me, it's just all the great things in Civil War are greater than most of the great things in any of these other MCU movies. Yeah. Like the airport scene.
Agreed.
The Bucky Cap relationship. How much it's a Captain America movie, even though there's so much going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, it's the third act of the film when Tony finds out what happened to his parents. That is why Civil War. Because look, Tony Stark, like I said, is my favorite MCU character, and when he finds out what happened and the look on his face,
well done,
and how he doesn't care. Him and Steve have been close this whole time. They became good friends and co-workers, you could say.
Yeah.
He can't control his emotions, and that's what puts Civil War over the top for me. Anyways, but I just have a feeling like Civil War. I think Civil War will end up in the top 5.
It'll be in top 5 easily.
I think it will.
Definitely.
I'm just wondering if Black Panther will. I think it might. I think Black Panther will end up in the top 8 realm.
Yeah. I think so.
Who knows? Maybe it ends up in top 3. We'll see. That'll be really interesting to see. All right, Keith. Any last thoughts on Black Panther before we close out the show today?
Go see it. Go see it again. I'm gonna see it again tomorrow night. We're recording this on the Monday after its release, so I'm gonna see it again as soon as I can. I loved it, man. I love this movie. It affected me more than I thought it would. And I'll talk about that when we do our spoiler breakdown. But I love it, man. It's really good, and it's made me even more excited for Infinity War. I couldn't have gotten any more excited.
I didn't think I could.
And man, I cannot wait to see what happens.
I just want more Black Panther now.
Me too. I posted this. I said he was the MVP of Civil War, that movie, and I love that character. Chadwick Boseman is amazing. It's an amazing character. I just love seeing him on screen, the Black Panther character on screen, because all these characters. I mean, we live in a great time, man. We're seeing all this cool characters on screen together.
We're so lucky.
It's great. Yeah, so I love it. So go see it.
Yeah, definitely go watch Black Panther. I'm sure most people have, because it made $201 million in 4 days, which is
did not see that coming at all.
Amazing. That's phenomenal.
I was thinking it would be like 130 or something.
Yeah, like it definitely deserves it.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's gonna wrap up the Apocaflix movie show for this week. Give us some feedback. Let us know in the comments section if you're liking this show, if we can have any improvements. We really appreciate it. I am Jacob Bartley. That is Keith Barnes sitting right across from me for this show. You can find us both on this Apocaflix Movies YouTube channel. We're on most of the videos and podcasts and stuff like that. Speaking of our podcasts, we have the Padawan podcast. We have our movie reviews. We have our trailer reactions, which Jake does such a great job putting those out. I want to get on some more. I just got my new setup at my house, so hopefully I can do some trailer reactions. Again, you can also find us on iTunes. Check us out there if you
tell your friends.
Apple products. Thank you all for listening. Till next time, watch some movies, especially Black Panther. Bye-bye.